Okay, well, thank you all for making time to be here today. We don't have any guest speakers. We do have speakers the next 2 days, and we'll talk about those here in a little bit. So you just get me and Brent and Jody again today. But there are a few things we wanted to bring to your attention. Obviously, the top priority remains funding. The good news is we are hearing things are getting closer. A deal was not done in Washington yesterday over expanding funding for the PPP program or the disaster loan program, but progress was made. It sounds like it could be done hopefully today, and if so today, then it would be approved or voted on likely in the next couple of days, and then that would allow the process to restart for those of you that have applications in the pipeline. I don't know all the details on it other than we're trying to put $310 billion back in for PPP, $60 billion for the disaster loan program, $75 billion for hospitals, and $25 billion for testing. And it sounds like some of the politics of why it's not gotten done are related to the latter. But obviously, is that going to be enough? I don't know the answer to that. We have had this conversation a few times on the call. Not a ton of our businesses got their funding through the first go-around, $349 billion. So the question will be, will 310 do the deal? I don't know. Hopefully, everybody that wants to get in is in at some phase in the pipeline. If you have not yet applied and the money comes back online and you need help with that, please let us know. We did receive some slightly encouraging news. 2 companies now in the last day have let us know they've got some money from the disaster recovery loan, particularly the upfront grant that they were making part of that loan process. That was the up to $10,000 grant, $1,000 per employee program. We've heard from 2 now in the last couple of days. So it looks like that money might be starting to flow a little bit. I don't know nearly as many companies that applied for that particular program. Pretty much everyone was in on the PPP deal, but that is something good. And I would encourage you, if you've not looked at it, and it is debt other than the upfront small grant, but it is a good program to potentially explore for additional operating capital needs. So obviously PPP is limited in what it can be used for, primarily payroll, obviously, but also rent, utilities, a couple other things. I've spoken with some companies yesterday and then last Friday who have other needs like inventory as things restart. So that may be a program to look at. So if you've not looked at that, EIDL, Economic Injury Disaster Loan, I think is the technical name, you can do so. And that process does not require a bank. You can apply directly on that. So something to look at. Another funding program, I talked to probably half a dozen people yesterday who tried to go for that U.S. Chamber Foundation grant. Basically, I hate to say it, it did not go well. The website crashed. Several folks were not even able to submit an application. I don't know how much money they had available, but obviously it was a nationwide demand. So very unfortunate, but not surprising, given there's such a demand and need for dollars out there. So another thing I want to mention, I've talked about this before, but there are a few smaller, more targeted grant programs through MEDC now. The general dollars that we were able to grant out a few weeks ago, I don't see anything like that on the horizon again. But they do have a couple of smaller ones. There's one on mobility. There's some other tech-related type grants. So we will have Tyler DeBray-Vander and Chuck Donaldson from the Michigan Economic Development Corporation on the call tomorrow, and I'm sure they'll be able to give you an update on what they have available. Another thing that we've been talking about that I think is sort of the second area of focus right now is the reopening procedures in terms of safety for your employees and customers. I've put out a call for two things. Number one, what are you looking to do in terms of your business to create a safe environment, both for your employees and customers? Received tremendous response. Many of you responded on the call or on the email yesterday. I think we've got now approximately 25 responses. And what we're going to do, there is a group that's going to be getting together later this week, sort of a task force that's being led by Jeff Deason at the Chamber, and we want to thank him for that to begin looking at this. But we want to be able to share those ideas and recommendations with all of you. A few of the emails we got, hey, here's some ideas, but we want more. We're looking to see what other businesses are trying to do. So that will be something we will share at some point, hopefully, either this week or next week. We won't put company names on there to protect confidentiality, but just to say, hey, here's a business, here's what they're looking to do. Hopefully you find that information beneficial. The other one that I'm very intrigued by that I also sent an email out on yesterday is the survey that's being led by Owasso Main Street for customers. It's one thing for businesses to reopen. It's another thing for customers to go back out and frequent businesses. So hopefully you have some time to fill that one out, and that is going to also help guide decision-making at least by our local businesses. We still obviously wait for state or federal recommendations as it relates to that. I think we want to be proactive here in Shiawassee County as we get closer to reopening. But also, we're going to obviously, state directive is really going to drive a lot of this. So, hopefully, maybe some of this information could even inform some of our state leaders. And we will have State Representative Ben Frederick on the call tomorrow, and I'll touch on that again here in a minute. So, Jody, do you want to jump in with a couple of items?
Sure. One, I just wanted to remind everybody about the SBDC webinar that will be taking place today at 2. It is learning about how different cyber scams have emerged. So it's basically cybersecurity that they'll be discussing at 2 o'clock. Justin sent out an email yesterday with a link that you can click to register for that. And the other thing, I have an 18-year-old at home who was laid off temporarily from a restaurant, so he's been struggling through the unemployment process along with everybody else, and really having a hard time getting through during the times that he has been told he can call in or use the chat feature, which I have been told you can try to use. He gets kicked out every time. He noticed the other day, and I don't know if this is new, or if he just hadn't tried to get on after hours because he's been trying to communicate with, trying to get in contact with somebody. But if you go into your unemployment page, the UIA page, or MyWAM account, after hours, you actually have an option now to send unemployment a message. So he just noticed that yesterday. We were able to go in and he could just click on send unemployment a message. It automatically puts in the claim number and then ask a couple of questions so they can kind of process it correctly, and then you can ask whatever questions you have. So it made it a little bit easier than trying to get through during hours to chat with somebody. So if anybody is still having trouble, if you go in after hours, it looks like you're able to send a message differently, which I'm hoping will help out a little bit. I know a lot of people are really struggling to maybe they're filing their claim, but they're having some issues afterwards and they're struggling to get through. So try that after hours, send unemployment a message, and you should be able to at least get a message out there. I'm not sure how long it will take to respond, but it's another option, another way to get connected. So that's all I've got for you for today.
Thanks, Jody. And the other thing, too, and I don't know if you probably don't have a huge update, but we are tracking, and we did mention this, and they sent emails on it. The U.S. Chamber Foundation is also doing a webinar series on reopening the economy. It's every Monday and Thursday. You did one yesterday, and there's another one Thursday, right, Jody?
Yes, those are at 3. And you do have to register ahead.
Okay. Yesterday you said it was on child care?
It was on child care, yep. There were a couple of different providers, Kinder Care and then a smaller one, who kind of told what they've been doing so far to deal with things, and then what their plans are for the future. I know you can get access to all of the recorded ones, it sounded like, as well. I have not tried that yet, but it sounds like all of the recorded webinars are also available on the website.
Okay. Thank you, Jody. Couple of other things I wanted to mention. This is actually a personal thing for me, but I told the team this morning I wanted to mention it. We obviously have a lot of small businesses, well, pretty much all Shiawassee County small businesses, but we have some what I'll call more of the retail restaurant businesses that are offering to do deliveries with gift baskets. So we've talked about doing things in the past like electronic gift certificates for businesses, but I put out a call at the end of last week for businesses that, could do that kind of thing. So, if there may be a cookie shop or something, they could put a little nice gift basket together, and then that could actually be delivered like porch drop to people's homes or businesses' homes. And this was done because one company reached out to me and said they wanted to do something nice for their employees. So I personally am making a commitment to use my stimulus check to spend money on gift baskets at local businesses that'll then be delivered either to people or maybe even to other businesses in the area. So I wanted to throw that out there. If any companies on the phone had a thought about wanting to do something maybe for your workers during this time, I thought it was kind of a nice way to maybe give them something, but also support a local company as well. So actually, I've got a list of those businesses. They actually popped up on a social media post I made. So if any companies on the call are interested in doing something like that, that would be a nice thing for your workers, but also help some small businesses out, please let me know. Another thing, too, I do want to mention, we talked about it a little last week, but I always want to put in a plug for it, the census. We are getting pretty good participation in Shiawassee County. I don't know what the latest is, but it's actually a little bit ahead, I think, of the state national. But please do fill that out, and if you have a means to alert your workers to fill that out while they're not working currently, that would be great. The reason we're pushing it so hard, there's a lot of money that gets dictated based on that census number. So we need as big a turnout as we can get in Shiawassee County as possible. Programming for the next 2 days. So I've got a couple of very interesting programs. Ben Frederick, as I mentioned, is going to be on tomorrow. Ben has been doing great work for us in Lansing, but he's actually organized a group of speakers for tomorrow. So it won't so much be a update from him as it will be he's bringing speakers on to talk about different state issues. And, we will have our friends from Michigan Economic Development. We've had Tyler on before. But I think what's really interesting is we're also going to have a representative from LEO, Labor and Economic Opportunity, who's going to be on, and they will actually be able to answer some unemployment insurance agency questions, which has been a huge issue, I know, for many folks on the phone the last several weeks. So we'll have a state government official that will be prepared to do that. So you'll definitely want to make time for that tomorrow. We'll do that call at 9 o'clock. And actually, we're probably going to have a larger than normal call because Ben is inviting constituents from throughout his district. So it will be not only Shiawassee County, but will also include portions of southern Saginaw County. Thursday, we have an interesting program, and maybe a couple of you are familiar with this. my alma mater, the University of Michigan, actually has something called the Economic Growth Institute. And long story short, they have a number of programs that are funded through, I believe, mainly federal dollars to help companies with different programs. So they have, and I won't give away everything they have right now, but they've got some tools, possibly some dollars, some grant programs to help companies through this crisis. And I'm looking at a list right now. I'm not even going to go all the details, but they've got programs for automotive suppliers, community economic adjustment program, small company innovation, defense manufacturing. They got a lot of stuff, basically. And just a few folks in Shiawassee County have worked with them in the past, but they wanted to reconnect. They have some tools, they have some resources, they have some dollars. And so we asked them to come on and discuss what they have available. So that will be Thursday's program. So you'll want to make time to be here tomorrow and Thursday. And the last thing I'll mention, as I always do, jobs. If anyone is hiring, please let us know. We'll definitely be happy to get out there and promote. So with that, I will open the floor up. Any comments or questions from the audience? And reminder to hit *6 if you have anything. *6. Anybody have anything? Okay, well, another short and sweet update. Tomorrow and Thursday will be a little bit more robust. But as always, if you have any updates, any questions, give us a call or shoot us an email. Thanks.